Hey, folks, good morning. Good morning on this Thursday morning on spring break. I honestly didn't think we'd have anyone with us because, for those of you who are watching outside of my classroom, it's spring break right now. So there's no good reason for any student to attend the lecture. But we do have a few folks, so welcome, welcome. Here's the deal is this particular lecture just really fits super well after talking about pure unfettered capitalism as we did in our last lecture with Adam Smith. And so there just really isn't a good place to put it besides right now. And so we got Jeremy and Mason and Timothy with us. They're ready to check this out. So that's fantastic. I promise you it's going to be short and sweet today. You deserve it. All right. So, as I mentioned before, last lecture we talked about pure capitalism as imagined by Adam Smith. We're talking profit motive, free market, private capital, and laissez-faire, and invisible hand. That was the last one. Well, here's the thing, though. Nobody practices pure capitalism. Nobody practices pure anything. Capitalism, socialism, communism, totalitarianism. Everybody practices something sort of in between. And here in the United States, we're no different. We do not practice pure capitalism. We practice something sort of in between. So the question is not, do we practice it? The question is, why do we practice something sort of in between? And that's something that, oh, wrong one. That's something that David Potter likes to explore in this week's reading there. And I told you earlier, don't worry about the reading so long as you either are watching this lecture or you watch the one that I did last semester. I'm going to take total care of you. So let me just kind of throw something out as for example. Have you ever heard this before? Hey, Joseph, great to have you. Why do childless homeowners pay school taxes? We don't use the school system, so we shouldn't we pay less or nothing at all? Now, for those of you not familiar with the U.S. tax system in our schools and so forth, property taxes. So homeowners such as myself, property taxes go to fund our public schools. And so what this question is asking is, hey, if I don't have kids, why are my taxes going to fund schools? I'm not getting anything out of that. Okay. Going on, how is taxation, why do we have sort of property taxes at all? Think about this, guys. Property taxes are the greater good. Jeremy, you're totally there. You're totally there, right? So here's the thing with property taxes. Property taxes in the U.S. are the only things that you continue to pay taxes on even after you own it. So I own my home. The bank owns my home, but same difference, right? I own my home, yet I pay taxes on my home continuously, forever. Same thing goes for if I owned land. I don't own land, but if I owned land, even if it had no buildings on it, no sewage, no nothing, no electrical, no utilities, if I owned land, I would still have to pay taxes on it year after year. Well, why is that? Now, by the way, before you jump ahead and say, well, I have to pay registration fees for my car every year, that's different. You're not paying taxes because you own the car. You're paying registration fees for the right to drive the car. I have a car up on blocks in my garage right now as we speak, and it hasn't been driven in 15 years. I haven't paid taxes on it or registration fees on it in 15 years. Property taxes are the only things that we continue to pay taxes on. Now, Now, Jeremy goes on to say, here, let me pull it over so I can read it better, right? Jeremy goes on to say, we should have a set tax rate no matter your income, wealth, no deductions. The tax system would be great. Yeah, you know what? Our tax system is a freaking mess. It is incredible what a mess it is. I don't know. I'd have to do some research to see if there are other countries that, by my estimation, do it better. But my estimation is just my estimation. You're totally right. It's a mess. So this is what we are going to answer today. We are going to answer the question, why do people who do not have children still pay for public schools? And why do I pay taxes on property that I own? Well, now, Jeremy points out correctly so that it's for the greater good. But let's explore how America, according to David Potter, defines the greater good, okay? We're going to cite from the reading a lot here. The goals of the economy have been set by democratic philosophy rather than the theory of capitalism. Let me explain that. The theory of capitalism, pure, unfettered capitalism, is, survival of the fittest, free markets, laissez-faire, ownership of private property, government get out of the way, profit motive, seeking after invisible hand. That's all the theory. Potter says, yeah, okay, that's cool. But you know what? America really values the democratic philosophy. Oh, yeah, Shark Tank. It really values the democratic. By the way, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and give us a couple of. I wasn't really even thinking about this today because I didn't know if we'd have folks. Okay, we value democracy over the theory of capitalism. So this is what Potter points out. These are the things he focuses on. The fact that the masters of capital have never been really in full control means that they have never been able to set the goals of the American economy. Instead, and this is a second major economic corollary of the democratic commitment, the goals of the economy have been set by the democratic philosophy rather than the theories of capitalism. All right, what does he mean by that? Historically, what have American people expected of their economy? They've not cared very much for the idea of maximum efficiency. Maximum efficiency? How am I going to get excited about maximum efficiency? Which is what the theorists of free competition are constantly talking about. In fact, they have tolerated immense waste in the use of natural resources. They have not sought to the elimination of inefficient or marginal producers, which again is one of the presumed merits of free competition, but have often gone to the aid of marginal producers, especially in agriculture, right? So, and yes, you're absolutely right, Jeremy. Real world example. So here's 20 countries originally flat tax. Thank you for adding that. So here's the idea. Let's talk especially in agriculture. So here's what happens in agriculture, and this is really normal. This is normal. So if we have an especially bad year, for farmers, the U.S. government will give farmers subsidies. Meaning, listen, we know you couldn't grow that much crop, which means you're gonna sell what little crops you've been able to harvest for really, really high prices because supply is low. That's the law of supply and demand. But we don't want you to sell them for really high prices. We, in fact, want you to sell them for lower prices. So we're going to subsidize you. That's in a really bad year. In a really good year, when there's so much wheat and corn out there and barley that we can't even think right, the government will say, man, that's going to kill the prices. The prices are going to really plummet. We don't want you to take that hit. We want you to plow under. Yes, I said plow under a portion of your crops so that we can better control the market, and we'll subsidize this. Okay? Well, same thing goes with like bailouts. Too big to fail. Now, too big to fail means the government is going to step in and bail you out. Well, you're a marginal producer. You should fail according to the laws of capitalism. You should totally fail, right? And so, yeah, exactly, right? So much for laissez-faire, completely so much for laissez-faire, right? So now we're stepping in to bolster up an economy. This is completely counter to capitalism. So why do we do it? Well, check this out. If we look not to the theory, but to experience, we may find that the only economic policy that American people have always insisted upon and consistently applied is that the system should operate in such a way as to give the bulk of the population access to sources of wealth. Okay? This is big. Okay? This is big. And Hayden, to your answer, to your question, how long has this been around? This has been around more or less from the beginning of, say, modern economics in the U.S., from the Industrial Revolution. Really good question, right? So, and that's a new contributor as well. So let's talk about this. Access to sources of wealth. American democratic philosophy really likes the idea of, well, hell, democracy, which means equal opportunity, equal access to success, right? Okay? Which means, well, you need access to wealth. We know in capitalism that you need money to make money. I mean, it's really pretty simple. You need money to make money. Now, I agree that's an axiom, and an axiom should not go unchallenged. So there are cases where you can make money without having money. I grant you. But for the most part, having access to wealth is really, really important. Well, what's the greatest source of wealth you can own? Land. Land is the greatest source of wealth that you can own. So everybody should have equal access to wealth, equal access to land, but also the wealth generating aspect of that land, which means because I own my own home, I own some wealth generating capability. And it's my responsibility to make sure that this land generates wealth and that everybody benefits from it. So access to wealth includes K through 12, free education, funded by capital, land, right? Including 60% of the tuition of a Salt Lake Community College student is subsidized by the government, primarily through property taxes and so forth. This is access to wealth. Now, what if my land, I don't even have a home on it, I don't have a factory on it, I have nothing on it. It is not producing wealth. Why do I still have to pay taxes on it? Because the government is spanking me. The government is saying, you have that wealth generating asset and you're not generating wealth with it. That's your problem. We're still going to tax you. So unless you want to pay taxes on an empty lot, you need to start generating wealth with that. So it is an incentive for us to generate wealth, because access to sources of wealth, that's huge in American capitalism. Okay, let's keep going. One of these goals is maximum opportunity for the individual arising from the strong American belief of the dignity and worth of man. Okay, that makes sense. The other is the goal of a high and steady improving steadily improving standard of living arising from the fact that American society began its major growth at the beginning of history, so on and so forth. Okay, here's the thing. We love a progressively increasing standard of living. That is like a really, really American thing here in the United States. We always kind of judge our society and our standard of living and our comfort level based on what past generations had to go through. So we really want a continuously improving standard of living, and we're willing to mess with capitalism in order to get that. Jeremy here says, I love it when people, the American vision of capitalism is incompatible with democracy. Funny thing is, we are a federal democratic republic, which is very different. Now, it's true. If this were a political science class, we would totally talk about the fact that this is a democratic republic, which is different than a democracy. But the point is, we are really willing to mess with the edges of capitalism in order to bring maximum opportunity for access to wealth for everyone and to ensure an ever-increasing standard of living, right? What has happened is we have a really, really productive system capable of yielding a steadily increasing supply above the bare necessities. What that means is our system is no longer helping us just survive. Our system is capable of creating all kinds of wealth and luxury, and we kind of feel like everybody, every American has the right to seek after and through hard work gain that wealth, right? So that's kind of a big thing that goes on. You don't want to have to walk uphill both ways to go to school. Exactly, right? And you know what? I didn't even think this was going to happen today, but boom. 84710. Just send me 84710. Congratulations. Very good. This is cool. Okay, let's keep going. He has more to say. Now, here's the thing. Okay, so what we've got here is we do not have pure laissez-faire capitalism. Just like Timothy said, so much for laissez-faire. Totally, right? We are willing to practice some degree of socialism, which is taxing those with land to provide education for K through 12. Classic socialism. We are willing to subsidize farmers. We are willing to bail out companies that are too big to fail. Classic socialism. We are willing to make utilities like electricity and water and gas so cheap that you don't even know how much it costs because it's so cheap. Classic socialism. We're willing to do that because we want to maximize opportunity for every individual, because that's a democratic philosophy. Maximizing opportunity for everyone necessarily means access to wealth, which is why we redistribute wealth in some limited ways to make sure that everybody benefits from it. And we also want to make sure that our standard of living is ever increasing, because we as Americans, and by the way, I'm kind of a fan of America, okay? We have created a society where, for the most part, gosh, everyone, please don't think that I'm ignorant of the fact that there are those in need. Oh my holy hell, are there those in need? Yes, I get that, and I support them, and I donate, and I do voluntary work where I can. But for the most part, in aggregate, America has created a society where we're no longer chasing after just survival. We are chasing after ever-increasing standard of living, okay? And we want to maintain that. That is an American value. So we're willing to mess with the system to help make those things happen. Now, he says something else in the reading, okay? I am bringing this up because it does come up in the questions, in the discussion and the test. However, We're going to talk much more about this in future readings. So right now I'm just feeding this up to you as an hors d'oeuvre, a teaser, right? This is an appetizer because we are going to go way deep into this in future readings. And this is the role of advertising in all of this. Perhaps the most convincing proof of the extent to which American standard has soared above the physical necessities is not statistical at all, but lies in the fact that Americans no longer buy most of their purchases in response to actual need. You do not buy the stuff that you buy in response to actual need. Think about purchases that you've made lately. Yesterday, my wife, we got a puppy for my son. We got a puppy. We bought dog toys. You don't need a dog toy. Just give him a stick. No. We bought dog toys, right? I want a new computer for my new studio upstairs. I haven't been shooting in my new studio upstairs. Did I need a new studio? Do I need a computer? Oh my heck, really? We don't buy based on, if I don't get this, I will not survive. We buy mostly because, ooh, I like that, right? So, need has been transcended as an economic stimulus, and goods are bought for comfort, convenience, recreation, style, and prestige. Okay? What clothing do you wear? That which is most efficient and optimized for your comfort? No, it's the one with that brand on it, right? Or the one who says who you are, or the one that says what you've done, right? It's all about comfort, convenience, recreation, style, prestige. We are way going to go into this in the future, big time. Yeah. Jeremy, we have the ability to give willingly to help others in need, including in other countries, and the world is freaking flat, right? The reason that folks like Jeremy have gone off to do deployments and so forth is because what happens in other places matters here, right? The world is flat. We can help everyone. It's funny that you bring this up. I just covered this concept in my marketing class this week. Western societies are prone to have greater wants over needs because of the abundance of products. Yes, absolutely. Gosh, was that Marketing 1050? Because Marketing 1050, Business 1050, talks a lot about that stuff. A really, really, really good class. Okay. Last quote, and then we're all set. Told you it'd be short because I want to, respect your vacation. Capitalism does not permit an even flow of economic resources. With this system, a small privileged few are rich beyond conscience, and almost all others are doomed to be poor at some level. That's the way the system works. And since we know that the system will not change the rules, we are going to have to change the system, right? And that is the root of all the contention in politics and economic philosophy and so forth. But even as David Potter here shows, we have already changed the system because we espouse certain democratic philosophies over the theories of capitalism for the reasons that we discussed. Okay. Hey, Mario, okay, Marketing 1960, huh? Interesting. Okay, cool. Mario, no problem. We're actually just wrapping up, but I'm going to publish this lecture as per always. Mario, you came in though, so I'm still going to give you, I forget what it was. Was it 837, 84710, something like that? If you just send me 84710, I'll totally 84710. Thank you, Daniel. Great. Then it's all good. All right. Everyone, thank you very much for joining. I know that this was outside of what you should be doing here during spring break, but but I hope this was helpful. Have a fantabulous spring break and get in that email. I'll even throw in a little something extra because you came in on your own time, and I respect that, and I want to recognize you for it. Okay? So have a fantastic day. Thanks, Timothy, and we'll see you all later.